and I'll never back down. In the middle of the ring is where I lay the smack down. Against all odds, I will always prevail. So when you step to me, it's like hell in a cell.
Greetings and salutations, this is Christopher Daniels. I'm talking to my main man Delzinski right now. Any video game show, any video game channel, any YouTube channel called Vintage Shizzle is indeed hashtag Daniels approved.
Yo, alright guys, Delzinski here. Welcome to another We Talk Weekend. And as per usual, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Smack Talks. How you doing, mate?
Alright man, I'm doing well. How's you?
I'm very good. Still recovering from a mediocre pay-per-view in terms of Roadblock. It was kind of a Roadblock.
It wasn't even a pay-per-view, was it? Special? Wasn't so special.
Well, it certainly put a roadblock in the way, but whether or not...
It just drove over it, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really feel like anything actually happened. So we're going to kind of talk about Roadblock. Was it worth it? Wasn't it worth it? Did we actually get anything out of the pay-per-view itself, or the network special? Maybe I keep calling that pay-per-view, but it wasn't really a pay-per-view. It was a network special.
It's hard to get away with calling them network specials, isn't it? So used to pay-per-view.
Yeah, well, I can't. It was just really a enhanced house show. That's what I'd say it was.
That's all it was. Just glorified. That's all it was.
Yeah, having Triple H on the card and Brock Lesnar on the card kind of boosted the norms of a house show. I think that sums it up nicely. So we're going to talk about Roadblock. Did it really, or was it really necessary? We're going to talk about as well the stuff that went down on Raw in terms of Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon, and The Undertaker. Finally, Shane O'Mac and Taker coming to blows. Vince playing a part as well. Never seen Vince get out of the ring so quickly in all my life. And also, the funny bit about that was I thought that maybe he'd pick up an injury once again when he ducked out the ring, but no, he was fine.
Well, he's done it before, hasn't he?
So he was all right. He was all right. Bless him. Dolph Ziggler, interesting segment this week for Dolph. Did it really pay off again? Quite a lot of that this week, really. Roadblock, was
Does
it
anything pay off for Dolph?
Yeah, I mean, feels like a lot of... Again, feels like something that was used to get Reigns over, but only in detriment to someone else again. Like I've said with Ambrose in the past, using Ambrose as a pawn to get Roman Reigns over. Now using Dolph Ziggler to play a part to bring in Roman Reigns to have his epic get your own back. Dave Benson Phillips style on Triple H. So was that really worth it? Lesnar Ambrose, barbed wire baseball bat. Does that make sense in a PG era? It's not PG anymore, is it?
It's not PG though. It's edgy, isn't it?
It's edgy. Really. And Ryback going for the US title. Does anybody care?
That really doesn't make sense, does it? Who thought that was a good idea? Seriously, what's going on?
What is going on? And we've got a few other bits as well to cover on this week. So I thought what we talk about first is, of course, WWE Roadblock. When we were preparing, because we kind of prepared for We Talk, but when we were talking about it, we kind of forgot Roadblock even happened until the very last minute. That kind of tells you what Roadblock was all about.
Well, it's like it makes no difference if it happened or not. We all thought, going into it, there's a chance that things could change. I don't think anyone really thought Ambrose was going to win the championship, but we did get that controversy at it, where you had the pinfall and the referee didn't make the count. So I thought if you do something like that, the least they're going to do is bring it up on Raw and actually address it and talk about whether Ambrose gets in or they're denying him from getting into the main event. They didn't even mention it.
What did you actually, when you were watching it at the time, what did you honestly think of that segment? Because first of all, when they said it, I thought, this is utterly ridiculous. His feet aren't even under the ropes. When they show the replay, they barely are, and it's almost like Ambrose has botched it. Ring positioning just didn't work for this angle that they went for. And then I was like, oh, not this again. Like, how many times are we going to get this with Dean Ambrose where it's a really fudgy finish which denies him of it? They could have done so many different things here with Ambrose to make sure that he didn't win the gold, but they always go with these, like, you know, either arm was under the rope, or he grabbed the rope, or something, leg under the rope. It's never anything that I think to myself, well, that was a good idea.
It's just, it happens so often. You kind of just,
it's always
you see it now,
and
it doesn't make any sense anymore. It's why I keep doing it, and I think we've seen it so many times. It's something that you kind of come to expect. If Ambrose is going to win it, I'm always going to think when that count gets made, something's going to happen. They're going to reverse the decision because it's happened so many times.
And if you think about where we are and what we're working towards, which is WrestleMania, and the potential that Dean Ambrose almost had penciled in a match with Brock Lesnar, if he captures the belt or not, still penciled in is Brock Lesnar. Couldn't it have made perfect sense, the fact that as well that Brock didn't have his match with Bray? Why didn't Brock Lesnar just come out and attack Dean Ambrose and cost him the match? Would that not have just been a much easier angle to pull off and have no questions asked? The Beast attacking Ambrose and be done with it.
Well, it fits into it and it furthers their WrestleMania match as well, so it would have made much more sense than what we got. But I don't know. I think I just expected something to come of it, especially when we didn't get Lesnar and Bray Wyatt before that. Because I thought if they're saving that, maybe they're saving that for WrestleMania, and then Ambrose does get to go in the main event. So when we're seeing that fudgy finish, I figured, well, that could be what they're actually going for here. Although it appears Bray Wyatt's actually injured, and he's not even going to be at WrestleMania. That's why he didn't have the match with Brock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got a serious back injury, and that's what's stopping him from wrestling at the minute. So Luke Harper replaced him on live events, and then also Roadblock. Luke Harper. It sounded like it was going to be 2-on-1, and it ended up just being Luke Harper against Brock Lesnar. Bray Wyatt just got the hell out of there.
It was really bad, though, wasn't it? That's like real false advertising from the WWE. Like, even when they said, because that's what I thought it was going to be like a handicap match, and then he just ducked off the apron, and it was like, and they'd had that match a couple of days ago, I think, at another show. So it was a carbon copy of the match that was seen elsewhere. So people were like, I've seen this a couple of days ago. Don't need to see this again. So it wasn't really very fair for the people that had turned up to see Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt then to see what they saw. I mean, there's no discredit to Luke Harper, but he just wasn't what was advertised.
Well, to be fair to Luke Harper, I think he did pretty well in terms of getting some shots and stuff in on Lesnar. He had suicide dives, everything. I don't think many people have put up that much of a fight against him, especially a network special. But
again, though, it didn't really... Even that feud's not going into WrestleMania, but you would have thought that the Wyatt family being, quite demonic, having their ability to, duck in and out with the lights and everything like that, there would have been a bit more to what they could have done to Lesnar, but again, it was too simple. Lesnar beats Luke Harper, and we're done. Like, there's never anything... I thought they could have done a bit more on the night, and that's what made Roadblock kind of lacklustered, didn't help progress anything too much. I wouldn't even say it tied up any loose ends, because to me, you've got Bray Wyatt still looking on. It's not like they've closed the chapter between Brock Lesnar and the Wyatt family. Their paths will still cross at some point. But it made it a real meaningless match on this Roadblock card.
It did, and I think, like you say, the paths will probably cross at some point. It'd be a good match to have Lesnar and Bray at like SummerSlam, something like that. But in terms of booking, you'd then have to kind of delay this till then, and it's like, why pick it up then? It's like Undertaker and Brock, where they take a break and then randomly it just comes back.
Yeah, and what we really wanted to see from if they were going to do anything with the whole handicap side is just have the whole Wyatt family beating down Brock. Didn't really get to see anything like that. It was just ordinary, and I think with Roadblock, like, I know we're picking out the bad points of it. I would say, as just watching a wrestling event, it was pretty damn good. I kind of enjoyed it as a wrestling event, although the fact that apparently at the exact same time elsewhere, AJ Styles and Kevin Owens were having an Iron Man match, is from what I've heard. So
I have heard something about that. I didn't know if it was the same time or not.
Could that not have been at Roadblock? Could that just not have been, a little bit? Could it?
That would have been amazing to see, though.
I know,
like those two. Hopefully, that's like something that they're kind of trying to see how it works, and then maybe go with in the future.
Kevin Owens won that as well.
It's interesting, that is. I wouldn't have thought you would. I thought maybe Styles.
I think he won it 2-1.
Have you noticed how hard Chris Jericho is getting the fans to actually chant for Styles?
AJ Styles. AJ Styles.
It's all he says. Go on, chant for AJ Styles. Chant for him.
I am.
It's like he just feels he's not over and he has to push every little thing he can.
But I am thoroughly enjoying Jericho's whole heel gimmick at the moment. I think he's just being a complete and utter douchebag. It's brilliant.
It's so much better than face Jericho. It's much better.
But I mean, yeah. I mean, watching. I thought the New Day. I thought the New Day at the beginning was entertaining of Roadblock. There was a match on the card that I've really... the NXT tag team match. I thought that was the best match of the night. I thought it was very difficult to really better that. I thought, I was disappointed that Enzo and Big Cass didn't win, but I kind of can see why, because we've got NXT in Dallas, and we all know that it's going to be... I'm not going to use their nickname or their tag name, but we all know that Jordan and Gable are going for the tag team titles. So I expect the title to change hands then when they face Dash and Dawson.
Can you name both tag teams' team names? Or have you forgot them?
Oh, what? Dash and Dawson, I'm not sure about, but I know is it American Alphas?
Yeah, we've got the Revival, Dash and Dawson. I don't get that.
It's not really necessary.
What they're reviving from? The scene?
But it's not, sometimes it's not really necessary. To me, I just don't think you need to have these tag names. Like Enzo and Big Cass is fine.
I want to see what name they give them.
Yeah, but it's not worth having. Like, Jordan and Gable, like when they came over here, everyone was doing the Jordan chants and the Gable chants, and that's what got them over. You can't do an American Alpha chant. Well, you probably can, but that's not really what brought them to the dance. And the Dash and Dawson thing, it just kind of rolls off the tongue. So why would you need anything else? So I've never really get why you need to give a tag team a name if they've established themselves. I kind of get it if you're bringing them in, like for example back in the day, like the Fabulous Freebirds. Like you do that because you come up with the name. But you don't have to do it with everybody.
Yeah, it's just really stupid bringing in a name at random. I think in terms of a name going forward, though, it doesn't make too much sense because fans are going to call and buy the names anyway. They're not going to go with the tag team names. That's just going to be something that they get announced as on TV.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I like, cause even we're talking about it now. I'm just saying Jordan and Gable, so it's not. I don't need to go there. But what I was saying was that match for me was so good, that match, that I found it very difficult for anything to really surpass it. I thought the
Divas Championship was a really good match, mind.
It was good.
That's the second time they've put on an awesome match. I think that could have easily been a WrestleMania match.
It could. I think we are going to get a really good WrestleMania match though with the Divas for once this year. It's not.
I don't think that's in question. I just mean like in terms of singles match 1-on-1. I think if they'd been given the chance and they'd been given that same amount of time at WrestleMania, which they probably wouldn't, to be honest, I think they'd put on an amazing show.
I'm so excited about actually for the first time us thinking. That's not going to be like, well, we probably will still get this, actually, now I say that. Probably going to get the Bellas on the card with Lana, aren't we, at some point at WrestleMania?
Possibly.
Hope not.
I don't know, though, because it looks like it's going to be a 6-person tag. And that means if Nikki comes back, then Alicia Fox must miss out, because Paige seems to be involved now.
I really don't like any of that stuff, to be honest with you. It doesn't interest me in the slightest. I can't... Are
you not looking forward to seeing Lana crush Brie Bella?
No, I can't stand the gimmick. I think it's awful. It's rubbish.
At least she got rid of the sort of jean skirt and things, the Ziggler look.
Yeah, but she's not... It still isn't really portraying the... is she even with Rusev anymore?
Well, she's been with him less since she actually got married to him. Maybe she's sick. Maybe she just wants a break.
So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think it's time to just... Well, I would have thought it would have been better to take her away and just drop the gimmick or do something because it's not like we're seeing that version that we saw at the beginning with Rusev anyway. So you might as well just call it a day. It's probably that's what's going to happen at some point. She's going to be found out to be a fraud and she's not foreign and all this sort of stuff. That's bound to come out of the bag at some point. I can't imagine they're keeping that gimmick forever.
Yeah, it's got to be something. Like, the whole thing at the minute is taking on Brie because she's a stupid American. So if it gets revealed that, Lana's an American at the end of the day, I think that could, like, be the conclusion to maybe that kind of feud.
But I genuinely don't like her. Like, not as a person in real life, but much like we talked about people not warming to Reigns, I don't like her as a heel, so she does a good job, but I have no reason to like think you're good in any means, any shape or form. Like, I don't think, oh, this is interesting, because I just think the character's so done and lost, and it's, she dresses like half of, even though ditched the denim, still isn't really the what I would expect Rusev to be partnered with. Do you know what I mean? And now doing things on her own, and she's moaning about stupid Americans, but then she partners herself up with fellow Americans.
Well, that is the dumb thing, isn't it?
You can't. You just can't. You can't tie it together. It's just rubbish. So, I just go back to what is the point of Lana? Sorry.
But to be fair to her, we haven't actually seen what she can do yet.
I think she'll probably be all right in the ring because she's pretty flexible, so she should be able to do some decent stuff in the ring. But we all know that doesn't just transition and make you a good wrestler. You've actually got to be able to have the ability to do moves and sell and think on your feet. And we all know that not all the women have got that. And I still would say that there is that difference. There is the diva style of wrestling, and then there is the woman's style of wrestling. I think that we're gradually getting more back to the NXT women's style of wrestling as we move the Divas division forward with your Charlotte, Sasha's and Becky, because I complained about them a little while ago not being as women-like, more movement like a diva, but now I think that's stopping, because I think the WWE now, with this whole push to be more edgy, I think that they're letting them have a bit more freedom as such, so I think that's good. But I don't see Lana being like that in the slightest.
Yeah, I think like Lana's more Eva-like in terms of aggression and things.
It'll be really like trying hard to sell it as opposed to it being natural.
Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe like wait and see how it goes, because she doesn't have to do too much if they're going with a tag team match. I think it'd be a lot harder if they're actually stuck with this sort of singles angle that seemed to be pitched, where it was going to be Lana against Brie. But I think tag team wise, if it's a 6-woman tag team match, she won't have too much to do, so it should be all right.
I think what epitomised what I don't like about it is, on Raw when she got up on the apron and she was like, "I'm getting in," and I just thought, oh god, I hate this. It's like you can't even sell how to like make out you're distracting the ref. It was really, really bad, and I just thought, it wasn't like seeing like Sensational Sherry or someone getting up on the apron and having a point to distract the ref. It just looked shit.
You're very critical on Lana tonight.
I am. I can't help it. I don't know. Maybe I'll get one over if she performs well in the ring. But at the moment, no. I don't. But I think I kind of. There's quite a lot of people that agree. I think that everyone feels so disappointed in someone that had such a strong gimmick and how good it was to what it's become, and they've just decided, like me, to just distance themselves completely from it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt because I haven't seen her actually wrestle. I don't think anyone has, have they?
I don't know.
Like we've seen clips of Eva when she was training. I don't think there's been any clips of Lana actually training or anything.
I reckon she'll be all right. That's what I'll say. So yeah, let's see. Let's see if we'll be impressed or not. But I mean, that was a bit off course. But I mean, in terms of Roadblock, like we said, standouts really. I thought the tag team match, the Divas match, was very good. The main event, well, obviously the Lesnar was a bit underwhelming. The fact it wasn't against Bray, and the main event didn't really move us any further forward. So I think that by the end of it, I was just left scratching my head like, Roadblock, we didn't really need it.
Yeah. The one thing that did impress us was the fact that, it was in Canada and Jericho managed to get his home crowd chanting, booing him and cheering for a real American. How does that even work?
Well. I mean, when you're put up against Jack Swagger, and number one, I was thinking, oh God, really, Jack Swagger, and I was thinking this is going to be rubbish. But Jericho managed to make that all work, really, turning the crowd against himself. If it wasn't for Jericho, see, this is where, when we say, oh, Jericho kind of devaluing himself, but then when he does what he did at Roadblock, kind of shows his worth and why he comes back and why he does what he does. Because, I mean, not many could do what he did on that night to make that match interesting in the slightest, because no one cares about Jack Swagger, but the Canadians actually did.
Yeah, well, I actually really like Jericho since he's come back. I think this is the one time where I've not been critical about his return, but it's because we're getting this more heel Jericho.
And Jericho's a master of being a heel. So, yeah, if you can get yourself hated in your own country, because I was kind of sitting there thinking, like, is he really like just dissing where he is from Canada? But it was good. That was really good. So yeah, Roadblock. Matches. I'd probably give it quite a good score. I'd probably say it's about 7. But then for progression and stuff, I'd probably give it about 4, maybe less.
I was going to say maybe a bit less than that. Wouldn't rate it as high as 4.
Just yeah. So yeah.
It was basically a case of we didn't really need to watch it, did we? It didn't impact WrestleMania whatsoever.
No, and unfortunately, like things like were lost on me. Like things like Sami Zayn was lost on me because I was like,
did he wrestle Stardust?
Yeah, and you just kind of felt like, why is this on the card? And at that point, I was just, it didn't get me thinking, oh, brilliant, Sami Zayn's on the card, because I was like, why is he having a match against Stardust? And it felt like a typical house show match, WWE live match to have. And I think that's when you're thinking to yourself, is this more of a pay-per-view? They've given it a name and everything, and then you see Sami Zayn coming out, and we're going to get Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and then Stardust comes out, and it's like, yeah, this is just a house show. Yeah, and that's what it was. It was a glorified house show on the network to bring in a few people, because I think they thought they could capitalize off people thinking something could happen here tonight which could change the course of WrestleMania. It was quite smart.
It's cool for subscribers though, getting an extra event like that.
So moving on from Roadblock, as for we didn't get any real progression on the way to WrestleMania, Raw kind of did give us a little bit. Like we saw Shane O'Mac and Vince with that segment and The Undertaker. And we still don't really know why The Undertaker is allowing himself. People say, well, it's because Vince is the boss, but that's never stopped The Undertaker before, like, just ignoring him. So, people say that's why he's having to listen to him. But it was kind of good to hear Shane McMahon calling him a bitch and The Undertaker reacting. And then, the little shove from Vince, which played the part in, obviously, Shane's downfall. I thought the segment was really well done, and the fact that he chased Vince off at the end, I thought kind of, and Vince is just, at first looking a little bit shocked, but then realising, I've got a bit of a banker here with The Undertaker. I thought that was all nicely done, and the Undertaker-Shane O'Mac feud is developing nicely, and it's probably the thing I'm most looking forward to at WrestleMania at this present time.
It is. Like, out of everything, I think that's the one match I'm really looking forward to. I don't know. I'm still not sold on The Undertaker himself. He doesn't really be... He doesn't seem really be into it.
I thought he looked good this week. I thought the hair, that he's got a bit longer hair and stuff, and I thought he looked better this time. I'm feeling he's a bit more Undertaker-esque. He still looks a bit not right, but I thought...
He does, but I think my issue is... It feels like Undertaker's a bit part player in this. Like, it's all Vince and Shane. It's like, we haven't really seen anything from the Undertaker. Is he really all that bothered?
Well, we don't really know why he would, like I said, we don't really know why he'd do it. Why would he want to help Vince out? This is the bit. What I would hope that the WWE could have done is, have Vince maybe hold something over The Undertaker, much like Shane holds something over Vince, which could then play a part as to why he's got to do it. And The Undertaker doesn't really have to, mope about that he's got this thing over him, but it could be, if I reveal this, then you're screwed. Do you know what I mean? And so The Undertaker doesn't want to, so he has to be aggressive and take out Shane McMahon. I feel that that's the piece of the puzzle in the build to WrestleMania that is missing. If that was there and I knew why The Undertaker, obviously from Vince McMahon's point of view, The Undertaker is the choice. WrestleMania, he's had one defeat. If you're going to pick anybody to represent you at WrestleMania, it's either going to be The Undertaker or you would bring someone maybe like a Shawn Michaels to the game. So he was the dead cert to bring in. But it makes no sense at the moment still why The Undertaker would stand up for Vince McMahon to Shane McMahon, who wants change, who wants to bring down the authority, wants to do all the things that you would expect an Undertaker in his position to want.
Well, that's the one thing we're missing. It's one thing I would like to get added to it, some kind of reason behind it. But I don't think we'll get it. I think they're pretty much happy with what they've got, even though it's not really making any sense.
If you could,
I don't think we'll get it.
If you could book it, what would the reason be? What would the excuse be, or what would be the thing that's being held over the Undertaker?
I would just hold his career over his head. I don't think you need to go into like anything more extreme like than that. That's simple enough to go with. Sometimes the simple options are the best options.
See, I would milk the fact that, imagine losing to Shane McMahon. I mean, he's not even a fully active wrestler. I would, if I was Vince, I'd be like goading Taker a little bit to, there's a few things here. Losing to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30, that's fine. One loss, in his entire career, but a second defeat at Mania, I mean, wouldn't that destroy a legacy? I want Vince to chip away at The Undertaker a little bit more.
Yeah, but what's to stop Undertaker then just like taking out Vince? It doesn't really make any difference to him. The other way, if his career's on the line, if Undertaker touches Vince, he can fire him as well. Makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, well, he can have that, but I want to see a bit more interaction from Vince and The Undertaker in general, just to try and spice it up a bit, because I just, Taker just stands there like he's representing him with no problem, really. It chased him off at the end of the segment, but still.
Yeah, it's lacking something. I think it needs something else. It's strange though, because even though we say that, we're both like looking forward to this. It's like the best match. I don't know what that says about the rest of the card.
Well, the rest of the card is hit and miss. Like I'm gathering we're definitely going to get. I don't think it's been made official yet. We are getting Styles, Jericho, aren't we, at Mania?
I would imagine so, and that's going to be a good match. We've got, I'm guessing, KO Mania, Kevin Owens against Sami Zayn. That should get announced.
See, So
there's two decent matches. It's the rest, like the Rybacks and Kalistos. That's what's been announced, and when they're announced first, you're like, kind of killed the card, hasn't it?
And I mean, obviously we got the main event, of course, which we just. Well, we could just might as well talk about what went down on Raw with obviously Dolph Ziggler interrupting Triple H, and for a moment, like suited and booted, I'm thinking, oh, we're definitely going to get a Dolph Ziggler heel turn. Maybe he's going to align himself with the Authority, and he could play a part. And I was quite excited about that, because I think for a long time everybody's been wanting Dolph Ziggler to turn heel, because he is quite a good heel. But that didn't happen, and then it was basically Dolph Ziggler hasn't really got a match at WrestleMania, but if he was to beat a chosen opponent for him by Stephanie McMahon, he could choose his own match at WrestleMania, and Stephanie chose Triple H to face him. Triple H looked a little bit miffed, but obviously it happened. But again, this was all used as a clever plan to make Roman Reigns again try to be cheered, and failed again miserably. But I'll have to admit, well, before I mention what Reigns did, I would say that, first of all, it showed this segment that Dolph Ziggler is far, far, far superior to Roman Reigns on the mic. and why would you not have someone who can also have the in-ring skills of Dolph Ziggler, talk the talk like Dolph Ziggler? Why would he not be a guy that you want to push when you've got a guy like Roman Reigns who can't talk the talk? And I would say he's probably not as good a wrestler. So found that totally bizarre that you have him in that predicament. Dolph Ziggler as well doesn't really get anything from this because he didn't win the match. And lastly, Roman Reigns got booed. But I did like what Roman Reigns did backstage. I'm not going to fault that. I liked it all up until the point when the Usos stopped him. And I thought, if that was Austin, he would not have been stopped. He would have beat up the Usos as well. And that's what I was kind of hoping he would do. He would just punch them both and just continue. Because he should have that rage in him. And no, he doesn't. He was stopped by the Usos, Mark Henry and Jack Swagger. Right.
It's an odd bunch, isn't it? It was strange. Like I thought, like it didn't really like make us too interested in Reigns. I thought it was kind of cool. It's still like a little bit too late for it, I think. But then when they come in and they stopped him, and he just
spot
he stopped. It wasn't like Austin where he just carries on or takes them out or anything. It just felt like it kind of killed it. Why do that? Why not just have Triple H, run backstage, get into a car and drive off like we used to always see, instead of having it stop? Roman Reigns is like, oh yeah, sorry, I shouldn't be doing this. I'll get him some flowers. I'll send him like an apology. It didn't need it. Just have it so Triple H escapes, and that's it. You don't need to stop and calm down. Give up. I can't stomach much Roman Reigns at the minute.
Do you remember back in the day whenever Raw used to finish, 9 times out of 10, a Monday Night Raw would finish with them going off the air with something happening, and they would be like, all hell's breaking loose, and they go off the air with all hell breaking loose. When's the last time that's really happened? It never has. It's either someone standing tall, someone backing off up the ramp, much like this. They stop the fight and then they go off the air. You don't really get that anymore. You want that kind of cliffhanger. Like what would
it was
Roman
like when the
Reigns
Nexus debuted. That would this is the perfect example of like all chaos breaking out and stuff, and it going off the air, and you're not knowing sort of what's going on. If this match took place at the end of the show and it went off the air as that was all happening, then it would have been so much better. But for some reason, they've placed this in between and they've finished with like Taker and Shane. I would have switched it round. I would have had the opposite way.
See, what would have been like really awesome? This just came in my head just now. This is like some creative genius going on. But
breaking news.
Yeah, I mean, what they could have done was right. He grabbed that monitor thing that he pulled off the monitor out the back, and
it was like a light or something. I couldn't work out what that was.
It was a TV monitor that he had.
Was it?
Yeah. It was like an LCD LED TV thing, and he ripped that off the wall or whatever he did. He picked it up. I don't know. I can't remember. But he hit Triple H over the back with it. See, what I would have had it if this was like probably Attitude Era, this could have happened. Like he could have gone to like hit him over the head with it. Right? They would have gone off the air. You don't know whether he hits him or not. Then they could have put an exclusive on the network to see what happened, and then it comes back and they show the footage, and as he's about to hit him, Dolph Ziggler smashes him from the back and takes him down, and Dolph Ziggler aligns himself with the Authority because he couldn't beat Triple H, so he's felt, well, what's the best thing to do to join the Authority? And that they could have done something cool like that, and you would have made Dolph Ziggler's point in this relevant then.
Yeah, well, that would have been like really cool to do, like something like that.
Stack some odds against him again.
Yeah, and it makes Ziggler kind of interesting at the same time. I don't know. I think something like that would have been much better. And it's always good when it goes off the air and you can kind of speculate about it as to what's happening. And like, I seen a clip of this the other week, but I think it was like Backlash 2001 or something. Can you remember Austin and Triple H with the car?
Yeah. Where
Triple H gets put in the car on the forklift, and Austin drops it, and all he hears is Triple H going, "Holy shit!" And it just goes off the air. You don't know what happened. Like something like that's really cool because you then think, "Whoa, what's happened? Is he killed him?" And it's just good to have it like that instead of like answering everything in the moment and letting you see every little detail.
Well, that's what they could have done with that. They could have had the smash of the TV, but it could have been Ziggler hitting Reigns in the back with it.
Yeah.
And then it pans up and Ziggler's just standing there. And like for anyone that goes, well, that doesn't make sense. He's just wrestled Triple H. Well, it makes perfect sense. He can't beat the game, so he's joined the game, and he makes him actually relevant in any sort of storyline going forward. He can be part of the authority. So,
how do you think it changes Ziggler going forward now?
Do you
think that's going to be an option to go down?
At the moment, I think again he unfortunately is being used as another person to enhance Roman Reigns, and that's shit for Dolph Ziggler. I would like him to be used as like a heel to turn on Reigns, but he has no relevance to Reigns whatsoever. If this was Dean Ambrose, there's some relevance there. Why all of a sudden is Dolph Ziggler involved in anything to do with the authority in Triple H? It doesn't make any sense at all.
It really doesn't. I only seen it as a match where it made sense if Ziggler actually won it and he got to pick his match at WrestleMania. And someone tweeted this to us and I retweeted it. I thought it would be awesome if Ziggler had actually won, and because he was told he could have any match apart from the WWE Championship, if he says that he wanted Shawn Michaels.
Well, yeah. I mean, they could have done something cool if they had a legend lined up to bring back. They could have done something cool even if they didn't have a legend, because he could have... Well, no, she did say no, didn't she? She said he couldn't pick the world title match, so he couldn't have gone there. But he could have. They could have done so many things with that. The fact that they were willing to write that in for Dolph Ziggler made me think there was going to be a good payoff, and it just wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, Shawn Michaels versus Dolph Ziggler would be really cool, considering the fact that he models himself on Shawn Michaels. So why not?
Well, that's the thing. We could have had like so many options if they line somewhere up. He could have picked, a mixed tag team match. He could have teamed with Ronda Rousey, go up against Stephanie and someone of her choosing. Like, there's so many options he could do, just to bring in a legend or something like that. But it seems like they've kind of missed a trick, and I think Ziggler's just going to get wasted in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Well, unless we get anything else building on Dolph Ziggler, momentum-wise, I would say it's really been a pointless... I wouldn't say it's pointless. I would say it was another effort to get Roman Reigns over. And when I say that because they needed something to build to get Roman Reigns involved on that Raw, because they couldn't just have Reigns coming out again like he normally does and just going, either talking up to Triple H. They needed him to have that big attack. So they just used Dolph Ziggler, who can wrestle a match, to fill that spot.
They could have done it at Roadblock, though. That would have made more sense. And it's a good network advertisement at the same time.
It's weird. It's really weird. It's really weird, and it's really disappointing that. I mean, if there's something that builds on from Dolph Ziggler, but I don't think there is, then it's fine. But it's not if you've just used him for that. So I mean, in terms of what we were saying about excitement and things like that, the world title match still needs something extra. I don't know what that is. It felt, well, maybe this is the theme again at WrestleMania. We need to know a little bit more about The Undertaker. We need something else to come in to the main event. I just don't know what that is.
I'm just at the point now where I just want it, over with. I just want Reigns to win it so that we can say that's done and we can move on to something else. I don't want something happening like even Seth returning, getting to have a match at WrestleMania for the title, beating Reigns for it, because then it takes it away from Reigns and the whole thing continues again.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm pretty confident WWE will work something out, and it'll probably be make WrestleMania awesome. They always seem to manage. Like last year, we all had our doubts, and they managed to pull it off. So I'm sure that we will get something, but it's getting closer. And throwing Dolph Ziggler into the mix and then pulling him out doesn't always fill me with confidence that that's going to happen. But I hope, like many of us hope, that they prove the doubters wrong. I mean, that's what we're here to talk about, debate it. But I want the WWE to kind of smash out the park as always with a WrestleMania.
Well, I think one of the issues here though as well is by putting Ziggler in it just to get something to have Reigns then interfere, it's actually shown where what we could have had. And it's an option that we prefer, so it's not necessarily doing Reigns a favour.
Well, it didn't do Reigns any favours because, I said it just a minute ago. I think you mentioned it on Twitter when it happened. Everybody was saying, look at, Dolph Ziggler's credentials in terms of talking the talk and walking the walk. Reigns is not nearly as good as him, but yet he's getting the push and Dolph Ziggler isn't.
Well, hopefully if Shane wins, then he's going to do away with all that. So Ziggler might get a chance.
We will see. We will see. And I mean, speaking of things that maybe I don't even know. Again, it was very confusing. Raw. It was very there was.
It always is. It's always so confusing.
Lots of surprises, but then I was like, does that work? I don't know. Like Dolph Ziggler, I was like, does that work? I did like the Shane McMahon Vince segment. Lesnar Ambrose. I mean, I liked the promo in the ring with Ambrose kind of, trying to mock the Beast and Heyman just having none of it and shooting it down and I'm out of here, and Lesnar thinking, well, Paul's gone, I can go and get some. And then I was like, man, Dean Ambrose is a total bitch. I mean, Dean Ambrose, what a wimp. He has to have a crowbar to take on the Beast. And I was like, that just made me...
Really? You're thinking that?
Yeah, all that made me think was how much I want Lesnar to beat his ass at WrestleMania. Because I was just like, look, Lesnar's going to get in there with his bare hands and try and take you down. And then, Dean Ambrose has got to look for a crowbar to try and as an equalizer. I'm like, nah, take him to Suplex City now. So I'm just firmly behind the Beast going into WrestleMania.
So you don't even want to say him using Barbie at WrestleMania?
Not really. I mean, I'm not complaining about the option of having weapons. I'm not complaining about that. But I just thought it was a little bit of a bitch move when you're saying you want someone to come in the ring with you, and he comes down, ready to go toe to toe with you, and he whips out the crowbar. I was like, chicken.
Well, I'm really looking forward to a hardcore match with them. If you think back to, I think it was Lesnar's first match back against Cena, where it was Extreme Rules, and how extreme that was, I really want something like that with Ambrose. I think it'd be insane, and I think the segment with Foley, absolutely loved that segment.
I'm just hoping that they don't he gets that gift, so you're expecting that baseball bat to be used, and you're expecting you definitely got to expect colour in that match.
Yeah, definitely.
And then let's say they just don't give you it.
So the bound to, they're kind of not.
Well, Lesnar likes
after
to bleed.
Introducing that.
Lesnar loves it. Lesnar loves to bleed. We all know that. I mean, he's told probably to not bleed, and he'll just bleed because he bleeds nearly every time he wrestles. Usually, he bleeds a lot. He pisses a lot of blood. So, I mean, I would expect that it could be a bit of a massacre. I expect it probably to be a Dean Ambrose massacre, and maybe Dean Ambrose does beat him after being absolutely destroyed by the Beast. I reckon he might actually win it.
Well, he won't give up, will he? I think that's the one thing in Dean Ambrose's corner. It would be interesting to see Brock get a loss, but I think a Dean Ambrose loss would be a loss for Lesnar against Dean Ambrose. I think that actually makes sense compared with some of the other ones.
But I'm totally behind Lesnar to win this. I'm after that segment, I was like, nah, I'm going with the legitimate, the NCAA, champion, the Beast. I'm going with him because, he ain't afraid to get in the ring and just, go toe to toe, fist to fist. Dean Ambrose, nah.
I really don't mind who wins it, to be honest. I'm just looking forward to this match itself. I think it'd be a really good match, and I'm just hoping for a lot of weapons. As opposed to you with your regular standard wrestling match. What's the point in no holds barred if you're not going to have weapons?
No, not complaining about them being involved in the match. I just thought when he was goading Lesnar to come down to the ring, and Lesnar's like, you want some, come get some, comes down to get some, and then Dean Ambrose is like, yeah, but I have to use this to beat you.
No one said Lesnar couldn't use a weapon.
Lesnar don't need no weapons. He'd take him to Suplex City. That's the weapon in itself.
Lesnar is a weapon. That's the problem.
But I still think that Lesnar's legitimacy and Lesnar as a prize fighter, Heyman sold it really well. The fact that, again, Lesnar's not really going to do it on Ambrose time, but it was cool to see that when Heyman had dressed it up like that, Lesnar was like, do you know what? He's getting on my nerves now. I'm just going to go down there and beat the crap out of him. So
it's like waiting for your parents to go before you go and do it.
And I think that the only time they really get it is with Lesnar when they can do that whole big fight feel, because I always feel that Lesnar doesn't give you always what you want. Like that moment, you wanted them to kind of go, but they held off it, and it makes sense for Lesnar to do that, because it's like, I'm the prize fighter, even though I'm not the WWE champion. I am partly one of the biggest deals at WrestleMania, so it's like you do it on my terms. So if I back off now, and I always think that gives it that almost that UFC like feel, that it's like they don't get in the ring and destroy each other until the match itself. And I always like that, and I don't feel that we get that enough. I always find that we have like meaningless brawls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think with this one they'll probably save it till WrestleMania.
It's really good. It's just something that I'm excited to see, to be honest, because as much as I don't... something about Ambrose I just don't enjoy, but it's not to say that I don't enjoy it in this match, this type of feud that's going on at the moment. I think his craziness works in this sort of feud. I just think he's still a bit lightweight when it comes to his in-ring stuff. Baby punches and all that stuff. Shane O'Mac's got those nailed down to a T, those baby punches.
He has, hasn't he? Quite strong punches.
He doesn't even touch him.
Maybe he needs to take some lessons from him.
When he was saying, when Michael Cole says the Shane O'Mac shuffle, I thought he was still punching him. I couldn't tell the difference between the Shane O'Mac shuffle and the Shane O'Mac punch.
Were you not impressed?
I think he needs to get him a bit more on target, don't you? Don't you think it needs to look like he's actually punching him?
It does help a little bit.
I'm not complaining about Shane McMahon's in-ring ability, but it needs to look like it hurts a bit. I mean, this is a grown man punching another man in the stomach, and it looked like he was just, like prodding him in the belly a couple of times.
But he's got to take it easy. He's getting old.
Yeah. So, I mean, fuck knows if he runs into Lesnar at some point, Shane McMahon, because he's going to get absolutely destroyed, because Lesnar will kick him with one knee and knock the crap out of him. So, I don't know. I hope Shane can, maybe someone could tell him to go a bit harder with those punches.
Well, maybe you can send him a message. He's on Twitter now.
Be stronger.
Very critical.
Yeah. Did you not think that, though? Have you not thought that since you've seen him
I
come
didn't
back?
really notice it, to be honest. I'll notice it now because you've pointed it out. So usually if someone points out something, then I notice it every single time after that.
See, you won't be able to tell the difference between the Shane O'Mac shuffle and when he's punching them, because it looks the same. His hands just go all over the place. It actually does look exactly like when Shawn Michaels did the shuffle, when he was in DX, and him and Triple H played Vince and Shane. That's what it looks like.
I'm going to have to rewatch it now and just see how bad this was.
What? It's not bad. It's not bad.
You're not selling it very well as being good. It's
not bad. I just don't think it looks like it hurts The Undertaker in the slightest, and I would like it to look like it hurts him. But, oh well, he's still a bit dusty. And I'm sure, like I say...
Give him a chance. He's only just got back.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. When I look at the stuff that we're talking about this week and all the build to WrestleMania, I look at Shane, Vince and Undertaker and I think that's going to be good at WrestleMania. For me, that's going to be the big payoff because that's like the company's control and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that, regardless or not of, if I'm critical of the way that Shane's punching, I'm excited to see that. I look down and then I look at Lesnar and Ambrose and I'm like, I'm excited to see that. It doesn't matter if Dean Ambrose, again, to me, feels a bit weak. I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing Lesnar versus Ambrose. I look at the main event, I'm not so sure I'm excited about that. I look elsewhere, I look at like AJ and I see Chris Jericho. I think it's just going to be an awesome match. I look elsewhere as well and I see Sami Zayn and I think Kevin Owens, awesome match. I think WrestleMania, although most people are heavily critical of it, saying, WrestleMania's not going to be... The card is quite good. It is pretty strong. We just have a main event that no one wants.
Yeah, well, that's the one big thing you look for, the main event. And if that's not up to scratch, it's going to leave that sort of feeling on you that, something is missing and it's not as interesting as it could be.
So, I mean, yeah, if they can get the main event sorted, I think it's quite a strong WrestleMania again, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't see them changing it, though. That's the thing.
We shall see. We shall see. So, I mean, let's talk about something that people are definitely not interested in, and that's Ryback going after the US title. I mean, I would have just absolutely... I could have made you a WrestleMania moment all over. I could make you one right now, is that Ryback goes for the US title and maybe wins it, or maybe doesn't win it, and regardless of the fact, win, lose or draw, Goldberg comes out and spears the shit out of him. That's to me... Or Goldberg should have come out on Raw and speared him, and then led to Goldberg versus Ryback at WrestleMania.
If you were Bill Goldberg, would you come out of retirement to face Ryback?
If I wanted to do the fans a favour, yes.
They'd probably put Ryback over.
I would. I just want the Ryback Goldberg fake gimmick or whatever it is that Ryback's going. Ryback got on the mic about challenging for the US title. It was bad. It's not even a shell shock anymore. It's just a Samoan drop.
Wait.
What is that?
Ryback's just bad all around. I want him to change his meat hook to a headbutt so I can call it the meathead.
When he hit that move, when he hit that Samoan drop, I'm calling it that now. Michael Cole called it the shell shock on the mic, and I was like, was it? I'm so used to seeing the stomping around thing. That looks retarded, but it didn't make it look any better by just doing it as a drop.
Well, it is just a Samoan drop though, really, isn't it? Like, the stomp doesn't really change it too much.
Why doesn't he just make the meat hook close on his finisher?
It's probably more devastating.
So, you know,
watches it,
but no one really wants him to challenge. So why is he being pushed? There are a few Ryback fans out there. I'm sure there are. Some of the Wii talkers like Ryback.
Maybe one or two,
but I don't. I'll be honest with you. I just don't really want him to be at WrestleMania. I'm not going to be excited about that.
I think he'd fit better in the Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah.
It makes sense having a big guy in there, giving him a chance to win it. I don't want to see him take on Kalisto, not for the United States Championship.
But I still would pop massively if they just had Goldberg come out and spear him.
I think everyone would. It'd be amazing.
So, I mean, if there is a WrestleMania moment in there, that could be the best one. That could be something that you'd never forget. Ryback being a dick in the ring and Goldberg coming out and sorting him out. And jackhammering him with icing on the cake.
I would love to see that. That'd be a WrestleMania moment right there.
That would even make CM Punk smile.
It would make CM Punk really, really happy. That'd make his year.
So, I mean, from my point of view, if that can happen, just go for it. It's gold. People would actually tune into WrestleMania to see that happen, not because it's Ryback, but because it's Goldberg, of course.
It's gold.
It's gold. It's gold. On a bit of a sadder note, because we're kind of coming into the final talking points of We Talk this week. They're kind of both a bit sad, really. Neville picking up an injury looked nasty when I first saw it. When he slides under Jericho and just you can just see the foot bend, and it just isn't meant to bend like that. And then obviously they had to throw up the X and get him out of there, but not really good for Neville. I guess he's going to miss WrestleMania now.
I would guess so. Yeah, it's
bad.
only 2 weeks away, I think.
Yeah,
but I don't know if you've seen the video that they uploaded, but the WWE.com exclusive, which never makes sense because it's on YouTube. They had a video of backstage when he went to see the trainer or the medical staff, and they took his boot off and actually checked it out to see what it was. They mentioned that it was fractured in there, so I don't know how long that'll keep him out, but I would guess he's going to miss WrestleMania anyway. I just think it's a really harsh break for him because he hasn't really been used the way that I thought he was going to be. And in terms of a WrestleMania match, talking about Kalisto Ryback, Kalisto Neville would have been an awesome match to watch. I think he's been really underutilized. Oh
yeah. I think he's been. I think I've never really understood the thing with Neville, because when he first came up, I was thinking, because they looked like they were going to do big things with him, and he's just gradually tumbled down the card. I think he's the sort of person that really is screaming out for a cruiserweight title, because without that, he doesn't really fall into the Intercontinental section either. Because you look at now who they're using as that. That's an Owens, and I know obviously Neville and Owens have clashed, but I just don't think that he represents the Intercontinental division. I think he really does suit a cruiserweight style.
It's whenever he gets put in that sort of position with Owens and the Intercontinental Championship, someone else always seems to like come in and just take it away from him. Like we've had other people come in the past, and now Sami Zayn seems to have just come in and stepped ahead of him. It's like one time you've got to actually give Neville a chance and see, how he goes with this championship.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed because when you watch Neville in general, it's exciting because he's just a really good wrestler, and his high flying stuff, you just kind of in awe at what he can do, and then it feels like to me it's just wasted a lot of the time. Like Jericho versus Neville was probably going to be shaping up to be a really good match, and that's the sort of match I'd like to see him in, but he doesn't get utilised nearly enough to have those matches. He's always kind of in these part bit feuds, or he's joined to a tag team, or he's in a 6-man, and it's like, nah, just let. I don't think the man that defies gravity gimmick really helps him an awful lot, to be honest with you. They're portraying him as something.
It's not a gimmick though; it's just a nickname. He hasn't really got a gimmick, has he?
He's got the cape though, isn't he?
That's not a gimmick.
But do you think the cape is like, it's a bit cheap? It's like, did he have a cape on NXT?
It makes for a cool entrance with the smoke. I haven't got a problem with it. You're gonna have a go at the cape now, aren't you?
It's not really.
You always find something. There's always some little thing.
But it's not really the cape. It's just what the cape represents.
What does the cape represent?
They're trying to portray him as like some sort of superhero.
Like Superman.
Well, they are, because that's what they're saying, that he can defy gravity, he can fly.
So would you say a Superman would be better off without a cape?
No, because Superman wouldn't book himself in the mid-card. He'd be in the main event, wouldn't he?
Yeah, because he is overpowered.
Yeah, so what I'm saying to you is if you're like Neville and you're being classed as the man that defies gravity and he's got his cape and stuff, I just feel that is they're trying to play him off as like this superhero character, and that is not a main event gimmick that is going to get you to the top. Hence why John Cena dropped the whole prototype, and then he dropped the whole, the thugonomic stuff, because to get him to the top he needed to change a bit more.
I think it's more down to his size, to be honest. I think like Vince being in charge, you wouldn't want to push Neville to the lengths of sort of a championship reign.
But you're going to get Finn Balor in that position, and surely a Balor is a champion.
Yeah, but I think Neville's shorter than Balor as well. So it's not just that, it's sort of the build and things. We've already seen this in regards to Daniel Bryan, where they didn't really want to push him for that same reason. And I think it's probably the same with Neville, and it's going to stay the same while Vince is in charge. I think if they did bring in a cruiserweight championship, then that's something that they would push him straight for. I don't think it'd be anyone else ahead of him. I think he'd go straight to the top in that division.
When I was saying about the cape, I just think that the reason why I say that is because I think that Neville is better than that. I think he's 100% better than just having this name of the man that defies gravity. I think he doesn't need it. I think he just needs to be like, again, come out and do his stuff. He's one of the most natural performers they've got.
He does, though. I don't see what this problem is. He takes the cape off. He's not wrestling with the cape.
Because he can never be a world champion with that gimmick.
With a cape?
The whole thing, everything about it, he will never be a world champion. Unfortunately.
The cape doesn't matter. Just turn entrances off.
You can't do that. It's not that. It's just everything with the firework thing and everything like that. I just think that whole build is to make him look like a superhero, but then he doesn't. I just can't see him. Could you ever see him carrying the title? You can't, and it's not fair.
Like I just said, not with Vince in charge.
But it's not really fair, is it? Because it's not. It doesn't.
I just don't get the cape stuff. Why you have a big deal with it? Could you see Chris Jericho being a world champion with a flashy jacket?
I could. I can see him as a world champion with flashy jacket.
Really?
Yeah.
Coming out in a flashy jacket with a title around there?
Because Jericho, I don't see anything else to Neville's persona apart from that he's the man that defies gravity. Chris Jericho has so many more bows to himself.
I'm just winding you up, yeah. It's just about the jacket.
But don't you think that? Like, there's nothing else about Neville, like the personality. They haven't ever bothered, and much like many things, they haven't. Like, people talk about Kalisto as a champion and why people aren't invested in Kalisto. It's because they haven't told a backstory of Kalisto. They don't tell a backstory of Neville.
Neither of them get mic time, so they can't get anything across. There's no connection there.
I think that's what I'm trying to get
That's
to.
what won Daniel Bryan over and got him that championship, because he was given mic time and he got over himself using that.
But I think that's what I'm trying to get to, and I think finally that I've got my point here is he is just a man that defies gravity, and that is it. And it's like, I want to know more about Adrian Neville, and I think if you watched NXT, you would know so much more about Adrian Neville.
Can't call him Adrian.
Well, yeah, exactly. See, but the mainstream WWE audience don't know half the stuff about him, so you want that background stuff. It's much like Kalisto. When you don't have that, it's just like, oh, he's a great high flyer, and that's it. There's nothing else to it, and it just doesn't. You can't then think that he would ever transition into being a world champion. I mean, it's good that they did that with Kalisto. They've made him United States champion, but then you think, well, he's going to drop the title soon because there's nothing that keeps me interested in Kalisto.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
I totally agree on that, to be honest. They just need to do something else and just give him some character. The cape doesn't matter. You can keep the cape. I don't care about that.
He can keep the cape.
Just give him some personality or something. Give him some mic time. Let him do something.
Yeah, he can keep the cape, but it's just, I just think that when they were sitting around the table and they were writing his gimmick, they were like, oh,
it's not a gimmick.
He can fly, so we'll give him a cape. And I just think they sat there and they thought that, like, much like when they were probably thinking to make him into freaking, what was it, Danger Mouse?
Do you think they all applauded and they're like, oh, that's genius, that is?
I know, but that's what I just imagine them sitting around the table. Give him a cape because he looks like he can fly. And then I just think, once you give him a cape, then he's not going to be like a champion, because this is. I just think of the booking mindset, and I think that they think small time, and they never think, well, in about 5 or 6 years, I want him to become champ, and he will always be this man that defies gravity. I don't think, unless someone else wants to change it up a bit, because he was like he was quite a good heel in NXT. But could you ever see him being a heel on TV at the moment? No.
Neville. He wasn't really a heel, was he?
He wasn't really a heel.
Towards the end of his NXT run.
Yeah, he wasn't really a heel, but he gave you a good indication that it was like he wasn't completely over with the fans towards the end, when he was being questioned, quite a bit more questionable the way he was wrestling against. I think it was against Sami Zayn. Remember that? Mm-hmm. It's quite a while back now, but like that gave me more interest in Neville, that he could be like that. And I never think he's going to be like that, because I just think he's going to be like a line next to the New Day, just as the awkward person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how we got into Adrian Neville in so much detail, but there you go.
It's all the problems, and it brings it to the top. Like, frustration just builds when you start talking about it.
I mean, and I think that's what the ultimate thing is my frustration is that someone like him, who's got so much talent, is just booked lowly. Like, he'd probably be lumped in the Battle Royal, when I'd just rather just see a match of Adrian Neville versus Sami Zayn or something like that, And you look at that NXT card that's going up, I mean, for Dallas, and you think, crikey, that is a card, isn't it?
A really good card, but to be honest, I think the majority of wrestlers would want to be wrestling in NXT.
Oh, I'm just amazed at that card. I'm looking at the women's match. I'm thinking Bayley versus Asuka. That's awesome. Joe versus Balor. The tag team match. I mean, when's that? I know the New Day are tag team champs, but I'm probably going to be controversial here. I'm way more interested in that tag team division than I am in the current WWE tag team division, because I think that although the New Day are tag champs and they're quite entertaining, there isn't really a division to go around. Whereas I think Dash and Dawson feel like a traditional tag team, and you've got someone else who's coming up to grab the gold. It's all interesting down there.
Well, with the New Day, it's not even about the gold. It's just the mic time that they get. And WrestleMania, they don't even look to be on the line, because this looks to be League of Nations against the New Day in 4-on-3, unless they get a new partner.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. I like the New Day, but I am beginning to feel it's getting a little bit contrived that they just talk about the booty and the booty areas.
Yeah, but I think it's time to drop the titles and someone else pick them up, because the New Day don't really need them. I think it'll to another team a lot more.
League of Nations.
Just get rid of them. Did you say Rusev? He got so angry, like in the backstage interview, saying, nobody talks about my friends, League of Nations. He actually calls them League of Nations. He goes backstage and refers to them as the League of Nations, but apparently the lads.
I like that they call them the lads. I love it that they call them that because they're supposed to be the League of Nations, which kind of sounds respectable, but then, you know, they're a bit cheeky, so they're called the lads. It's fucking
That's
shit.
That's just what they call themselves in private.
It's totally shit. It's awful. Ugh, scrap the League of Nations.
Who do you think come up with the lads?
Wade Barrett.
Must have been, wasn't it?
It just feels like it's Wade. It feels something English about it. The lads.
I'm waiting for Rusev just coming out and saying he's won the lads.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. If he does do that, maybe they'll be taking turns with Lana. Oh,
Really?
I don't know. It's part of the lads.
Train there.
Probably. So, I mean, yeah, all in all, it's really disappointing that Neville's injured because we definitely would have been nice to see him involved in WrestleMania in some shape or form. But the final part of this week's We Talk, another big one is that Sting. Well, it was kind of preempted, but many thought that there could be an opportunity. Maybe there will be in the future, if you think so. But I haven't actually seen where the official breaking news came that he's retiring. But I know that everyone's saying that he's going to officially announce that retirement at the Hall of Fame this year.
Mm-hmm. That's what it looks to be. I read the article before, and apparently the reason that he's retiring is the same reason as Edge. It's exactly the same condition. And with Edge, it was a case of, you know, if he wrestled one more match, then he could end up paralyzed. So if it's the same case for Sting, then obviously see why he's announcing his retirement now.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the Sting Q&A, and I thought it was kind of obvious that he probably wasn't going to wrestle again because he summed it up like it was going to be his last match. That he had a Night of Champions. I think it was Night of Champions, and you know, it was just unfortunate. Really, I put it on Twitter today. I think that unfortunately the WWE maybe got it wrong. It was cool to see him wrestle at WrestleMania against Triple H. The loss was completely ridiculous, and I just kind of thought that, you know, what I would have rather seen instead of all of that would have just been The Undertaker versus Sting, just as one match, one build on one night at WrestleMania. And if that had been his match, I would have been down with that, and I would have thought that. I think he would have been happy with that. I think Taker would have been. Yeah, people say, oh, well, age plays a part. Yeah, of course, but it was everything that match represented, which everyone had been looking forward to for years. And it's like the super match. And we're never going to get to see it now. And I just feel that was a missed opportunity by the WWE. The match never was.
I think it was, yeah. I think it'd be interesting to find out, you know, why they didn't go with that if Taker didn't want the match. Because obviously, like, Sting really wanted it.
Yeah, I think Taker did, but I think that they planned it further down the line. Maybe that was the match that was penciled in for this year until they found out Sting was gonna be injured. And the trouble is like, if you remember rightly, I think it was Night of Champions with Seth Rollins, and it was Sting. Sting was a huge draw for that, and they used Sting to draw. And then you remember afterwards, it was Kane afterwards, and it was like no draw. And you know, Sting's name is a big deal. Sting versus Taker was a huge deal if they'd ever gone with it. And I just think, why didn't you ever do that in the first instance? It really disappoints me that they went with what they went with. I thought Triple H versus Sting was good. I'm not going to question it. I thought the match was good. I thought the finish was wrong. But and he obviously is. I've told you before. He's happy. He doesn't mind what happens. So he's just one of the most humble guys going in the business. But I think I would have just said scrap all of that just for that match, because that was the match we wanted to see. And if you'd done a year build on that, much like you did with Rock Cena, you could have done so much more with Taker and Sting, because it could have been all the mind games. It could have been so much done over that period. Rock and Cena, you couldn't do any of this. It was just face to face and bored your tits off.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think if they took the time and built it, it could have been really something special. But
it was there.
At the time now, I don't know. Even if Sting was healthy, I don't think it's got the same appeal. I think Undertaker's seemed to like lose a lot of what made him special at WrestleMania. Probably when the streak ended. I don't think last year really made too much of a difference in terms of, you know, having that feeling of the Undertaker at WrestleMania, I think it had kind of gone. I think he should have maybe just retired when the streak ended.
I think the trouble with that match, and no detriment to the Undertaker, but when we watched Sting wrestle, I think, particularly Sting felt like he got himself in tremendous shape and he could go. I think the Undertaker still struggles to get that extra step, don't you think? I don't feel like Sting was slow against Rollins until he picked up and he was injured for half of that match. And I thought that Sting could easily go. So I just think that we're beginning to accept that Taker isn't the force of old. And it makes it interesting to see how Shane McMahon can carry Taker, because I think you do. I think you have to support Taker in these matches now.
Yeah, I think that is the case. I think, maybe the time has come that maybe this could be his last WrestleMania. Which would be strange if he didn't get beat.
He's booked heavily after WrestleMania, from what I understand. But I mean, the main thing here is that, like I say, Sting's going to step away, and people will always go, oh well, he didn't have that huge WWE run. But I think when you go and look back at all the things that Sting has done, particularly all his epic matches that he had with Ric Flair, his whole year-long storyline as the Crow, the way he managed to change, well, Scott Hall helped him change it, but to change his gimmick up and stay relevant for all those periods, even to today where, he is almost a bit like a phenom, when you see that face paint, it's Sting. I think it's just commendable. And plus, even Bret Hart had positive things to say about him. You don't get that much praise out of Bret Hart these days, and he was praising Sting as well.
Yeah, well, he said it made WCW a happy place to go to work when Sting was there. It was the only thing in WCW he actually liked. And
that's the thing. I think everybody that talks about Sting, I don't think anybody ever says a bad word about him. He seems to be the constant, the guy wherever he's been. He's your go-to guy for advice, and he's also humble, and much like, in the wrestling, people wanting to put themselves over, he was always a guy that wasn't too worried about it. Although there was lots of talk around about the whole Starcade and what was going on there, but I don't believe Bischoff. I think he's talking garbage.
Well, it sounds like Bischoff talking garbage.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be epic to see him at the Hall of Fame. Let's put it that way. I mean, I was in awe when I went and saw him do his Q&A. So, Hall of Fame, big speech. It's going to be really cool. It's probably the perfect stage for him to retire on, to be honest, and in Texas. So
it'd be awesome. Like, I think it's a good time just to have Sting go into the Hall of Fame now. Especially if he's retiring, it gives him a chance to have that stage and actually announce it.
I can't wait. I mean, I think you got to look at it more from. I know I've got quite a few tweets of people saying, "Oh, well, bummed out about knowing that he's retiring." I think that's because people all expected a bit more from his WWE career. But I think if you go and watch back his entire career and what he's done, including his TNA stuff, because some of the stuff he did in TNA was awesome as well, which WWE will never mention, as we've seen from AJ Styles' time. But I mean, if you go back and look through his career, I mean, there's nothing to really get down about. I mean, he's one of the most celebrated athletes in wrestling, and, he's iconic. You're never going to forget Sting. So Hall of Fame should all be about celebrating him if he does actually hang up the boots.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good way just to sort of, put a bullet point into the end of his career and celebrate it for him.
It's going to be good. It's going to be awesome. And like I said, I don't think it could happen to a more humble guy. I think he deep down, whether or not he says it, I think he thought he wished he could have that little bit of a longer run, but just wasn't to be. I mean, your body's your body. Just I'm surprised Taker hasn't taken one of these big injuries. His body must be struggling.
Yeah, well, he looks like he's struggling. I think that's one of the reasons why I think Len's near from. But I don't know, watching Sting at Night of Champions with Seth, I think he looked really good, and it's just a shame about the injury, where it's been such a bad one that he's had to call it a day.
It was. That was the thing. I mean, I think maybe he was pushing himself extra hard. Like you watch that WrestleMania match, he takes some ridiculous bumps, and like I was thinking maybe he should have gone a bit easier, but I mean you can't you can't stop someone wanting to entertain, and I guess that's the main thing. He always wanted to put on a good show, so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well. I mean, yeah. I said don't get down about it, and then I'm sitting there thinking.
You are always going to get down about it.
I'm sitting there thinking, oh, really? Really? We don't get that Undertaker match?
Just be happy. No one Sting's happy.
Yes. Still doesn't help, but
Still stings.
It still does. It still does. But anyway, it's going to be awesome to watch that speech, and much like the Hall of Fame is going to be awesome in general. Much like I'm sure that WrestleMania will be a success, as skeptical as many are at the moment. So I think I'm going to end it on a high with that. So any shameless plugs?
Well, if you want to check out Smack Talk's channel, we've got a lot of mod content going up this weekend. We've got CM Punk's model from last year that's been included in it, so that's awesome to get that model in there. We've got the entrance animation as well, so it's always much better when you've actually got the proper entrance in there. And then if you want to check out Regeneration X, Elle's just started a playthrough of the Michonne game for The Walking Dead from Telltale, so that's going really well, so you can check that out on Regeneration X.
Cool, sounds good. Make sure you do. Make sure you follow Smack Talks. What is your Twitter?
It is at Smack Network.
See, I haven't forgotten anything this week. I've actually nailed it. I've got your Twitter in there as well.
I had to think there because you never usually ask us about Twitter.
For me, make sure you follow me at Delzinski. Content-wise, we've got Saturday Night Main Event. I'm going to probably put out a couple of other videos as well. Just really dealing with lots of aftermath from Redemption as well. So, yeah, it's busy. It's got lots of things. And there'll probably be a few little announcements as well coming over next week as well.
Sounds good.
It's going to be good. So, yes, that brings us to the close of another We Talk, and we get a little bit closer to WrestleMania. I'm hoping as well, I forgot to say this. I'm going to see Scott Steiner next week. So that'll be enlightening. So I can fill you all in on that.
Whoa, that'd be awesome.
Nearly forgot. Don't know how I can forget that, to be honest. I think it's going to be
You
so
got a question,
controversial.
ask him.
I'm going to ask him, does Hulk Hogan really have a 10-inch penis?
Really? You going with that one?
I think he might just kill me.
Is that something that's been on your mind for a while now? You need an answer on it?
I think it's going to
You're not going to ask him that in the toilet, are you?
No, I'm not. I think it's going to be so entertaining though, because the guys that are doing it inside the ropes have been saying, with Sting it was quite easy to do, whereas with Steiner it's a bit unpredictable. He's gonna when the meet and greet that he's doing, he's going to be wearing the full chain thing that he wears on his head, all that stuff. So he's not going to be because most meet and greets, like Sting, when I got to meet Sting with the same guys, he was fully face painted and stuff. So it's pretty cool. They get him to actually, do it properly instead of being in tracksuit bottoms and not fussed at a meet and greet. So it's going to be really cool. But I mean,
are you going to record your question?
It's difficult.
Do we get proof that you ask him this?
My mate that I'm going with, he's a massive Steiner fan, and I'm hoping that he's going to ask the question this time. I asked one to Sting last time.
Well, hang on. You just said you were going to ask this question.
I'm not asking him that question. You put me in a Steiner recliner. There's no way you can ask him
this and then backing out.
Someone's got to ask him a Hogan question. I'm sure they will. So I'll feed back what was said. I mean, this is the difference. Like with Sting,
I think you should put this up to the We Talk viewers to choose the question for you, and then you have to go with it regardless of what it is.
Oh God. I mean,
give something back.
Put some questions in the comment section, definitely, so I can see what we can go through, and I'll negotiate them with my mate over a beer before we go and see Steiner, and whatever one works, I'll probably try and go.
There you go. Just have a few beers, and I'm sure you'll be able to ask it.
Oh my God.
It's been on your mind for a while, obviously. You can finally get your answer.
I ordered. Do you know what I ordered to get signed? I ordered a retro WCW magazine of when he was champion. I found one on eBay. It's cool. And I was surprised to find it. It's from 2001.
That'd be cool.
How do people have magazines from 2001?
I don't know. Keep them collectibles, maybe.
He's selling it, so I've got it now. But anyway, I'm going to get that signed as well. So that's pretty cool. I was going to get an NWO one, but I had to actually sit there and think about what I was going to get for this, because I was worried that...
I'm surprised he didn't go with a t-shirt. You could have like quite the collection.
Yeah, but you never quite know with Steiner how he's going to react to things. This is the other thing about him as well. He is actually nuts.
He's not going to react to you having his t-shirt of him.
No, but he might not like an NWO one these days. You don't know. Have you not seen the thing when he came over here and someone played his old school Scott Steiner theme and he told the show he would never wrestle for him again and told him to fuck off?
I didn't quite say that. I think what you should do, if Steiner is as bad as you say, you need to get on his good side. So I think if you turn up with, one of those mesh helmet things that you used to wear, really impress him. Go for it.
If someone went dressed as a young Scott Steiner, that would be hilarious because I think he tries to distance himself so much from those days. It's unreal, but
just cosplay as him. Draw his tattoo on your chest and things.
I'm pretty sure there'll be
really impress him.
I'm pretty sure there'll be some crazy people there. I'll try and record what I can, and yeah, it'll be fun.
Cool. Sounds good.
Cool. So I guess that brings us to a close of another We Talk. Are you gonna catch us later?
Catch you later.
Yes, this is Delzinski and Smack Talks for another We Talk weekend. Signing out.
Hi, wrestling fans and gamers. Velvet Sky here, and I just want to say I've been hearing a rumor that Delzinski.com is the best place for video gaming and wrestling content.